With this build, you can start clear your endgame maps much faster with just this simple build where you just need to use your attacks from your main weapon and clear everything. And when you find the boss, it's pretty easy as well. You just need to break the armor, use your infernal cry, and then Thunder or Hammer of the Gods, and the damage will be insane. Don't forget to subscribe. Hello guys, my name is Will, and we are talking in this video about this warrior build that I've been doing and farming the end game. And it's pretty easy to use. When you want to clear all the map, you just need to use your main attack, which is the Mace Strike. You really need this weapon, it's gonna help you a lot. With this splash damage to target within 1.8 meters, it's gonna splash all the damage all over the place, and you're gonna clear everything on a big radius. And when you find a boss, it's easy as well. You use Break Armor, Infernal Cry, and Thunder or Hammer of the Gods, and you're gonna take a big chunk of their life. So let's talk about the build I'm using. I'm going through all the skill gems that you need to know, passive tree, and equipment of course, and a few tips on the end. Alright, so let's start with the skill gems. So for this build, I've been testing a lot of stuff because, as you guys know, warrior is a class that takes a little bit with the animations of all these skills, alright? So we don't really like that, also because we are not playing with any dodge, so we're gonna take all the damage and maybe we're gonna block some of the attacks with our shield. If the animation takes that long, probably we'll be dead before the animation ends, especially when we are clearing those maps. So that's why I've tried to find a way to not use Thunder or Hammer of the Gods when fighting, when clearing the maps, alright? It's okay when you're fighting a boss, you have enough time to do these skills, but while clearing the maps, we just want to be as much fast as possible, alright? So we're gonna start with the Mace Strike. I'm not level 80 yet, so I don't have the 5 slots. I only have 4 slots at the moment. I will be updating my Bobalytics guides. I did a guide with the leveling from Cruel to Endgame, and now this will be the last step, which is the Endgame. So with the Mace Strike, we have Primal Armament. We just want to increase the damage a lot. We have this one that will increase weapon elemental damage. We have more area of effect because we want this damage to spread as much as possible. And we have Armor Explosion, alright? This support gem is the most important one. Every time we fully break the enemy's armor, we trigger an explosion. Alright, so this explosion will be triggered, concentrated effect will increase the area of the effect of the explosion, and then we have some more support gems to increase that damage as fire damage and as elemental damage, so will be a big explosion, and with the help of Herald of Ash, that explosion, that damage, area damage will be increased. So on Herald of Ash, this will be one of the first buffs you want to get. This is the priority one. Herald of Ash, every time we overkill an enemy, it will create an explosion and ignites the nearby enemies. Alright, so for this one we have Fire Mastery because this is a fire skill. It's going to increase by 1 level, and we have Clarity just to increase our mana regeneration. You don't really need this much spirit if you're just starting with the end game and clearing all the maps. 100 spirit will be fine. You can start with just Herald of Ash and Time of Need, but eventually if you want to do exactly the build I have, you need at least 190, okay, with the support gems and everything. Then I'm gonna leave all the buffs to talk at the end. So I'm gonna skip attrition, I'll talk about that on the end. Seismic Cry, we have Seismic Cry, so this one you can really switch for another one. I only use it while I'm creating maps, so you can use Rolling Slam, you can use the Leap Slam, you can use whatever you like as your secondary skill while you're clearing the maps. But I found out Seismic Cry, it's a skill that is really fast to cast. And when you find a rare enemy, I don't really like to use Thunder or Hammer of the Gods because it takes so long to cast, and it's a lot of time I'm wasting, and most of the times I'm just surrounded by a lot of enemies, so I just want to kill that rare as fast as possible and go to the next pack of monsters. So with Seismic Cry, every time I use this, it's gonna increase a lot the stun build-up, And what I'm looking for on this ability is this part here. All right. So every time we cast a seismic cry, if a heavy stunned enemy is hit, your next slam is empowered to perform an additional aftershock. Right. So most of the times when I'm fighting a yellow or a blue monster, I will stun them. So after being stunned, if you use Seismic Cry and you hit them with your mace, you will cause aftershock, okay? That will do a burst of area damage, and this way I can kill those rare monsters much faster. Alright, you guys know that this was activated if you guys see the cooldown going on, because if you don't hit enemy that is heavy stunned, there's no cooldown on this skill. If you hit someone, any monster that is heavy stunned, as you guys can read here, this skill cooldown will be on cooldown for 8 seconds. All right, so we only gonna use this one while we fight rare monsters, and that's basically it. Or just as a SOS, if you are struggling, taking a lot of damage, you can always use Seismic Cry just to knock them back and give you more space to heal your life all the way up. Then we have Infernal Cry. I'll talk about the buffs after talking about the other skill gems, just because it's much easier to understand how this build works. So with Infernal Cry, we only use Infernal Cry when we are fighting bosses. Basically, with this build, you only need to use Infernal Cry when you're fighting a boss. So every time you use Infernal Cry, it's going to empower the subsequent attacks. So this means that after we use Infernal Cry, if we use Hammer of the Gods or Sander, it's going to increase the damage of these skills. So the plan is to use Infernal Cry, and then we have two possibilities. We can use Hammer of the Gods or Sander. So on Infernal Cry, we have this supported skill that will grant us 4 rage per 5 power of constant enemies in rage. We have this one that will consume up to 10 rage, causing attacks empowered by them to deal 30% more damage. And we have Ingenuity just to increase the cooldown recovery rate on this skill. So after using this one, we can use the Hammer of the Gods. It's going to do a tons of damage. This skill does a lot of damage. We have maximum physical damage, Eft on this one. We have Exploit Weakness. This one will consume the enemy fully broken armor to deal 15% more damage. We have Lacerate, 50% chance to inflict bleeding. Since this ability does a lot of damage, the bleeding will be high as well. We have Concentrated Effect, just to increase the area damage, will be less area of effect. So try to plan when are you doing this ability, because you don't really want to miss this one. It's gonna take a lot to fall from the sky, but it's completely worth it. And then we have Sander. This is our second skill we can use against a boss. This one does a lot of damage as well, because when we use this skill on an enemy with fully broken armor, it's gonna consume it and guarantee a critical hit. Alright, so it will be 100% chance to critical hit, and that's why we have super critical, to increase our critical damage bonus. Then we have this Fist of War, so basically our abilities will be ancestrally boosted, and this basically means you will have 20% more damage. As you guys can see, it's ancestrally boosted at the moment because you can see this red square around it. We have Heavy Swing to increase more physical damage, and we have Hourglass, more damage, but we will have 10 seconds of cooldown. But it's okay, there's no problem about that, because we have these two abilities. They have high cooldown, but they do insane damage, so it's really worth it to have this cooldown, but at least we have 40% more damage. And while we are waiting for these cooldowns, we can just start building up that broken armor to increase our damage. And to help with breaking their armor, we're gonna use our Ancestral Warrior Totem. With this Ancestral Warrior Totem, we're gonna give him this skill, the Armor Breaker, which will break the armor of the enemy. So when you are starting to fight a boss, this is the first skill you want to use to help building up that broken armor. Then we have Font of Rage. Basically, while this Ancestral Warrior Totem is alive, will give 2 rage generation per second to you and your allies. And then we have Splinter, so all the break armor will be equal to 15% of physical damage dealt by this Ancestral Warrior Totem. So this is all the skills that you need. As you guys can see, it's not much, it's 2 skills to clear mobs, and then you have 4 skills against a boss, and then we have all the other buffs. So the first one you want to get will be Herald of Ash. I already talked about it, and then you will want to get Time of Need. This one will give you a lot of survivability. It's gonna help you recovering life, remove curses, and elemental ailments. So will be a very big help while you clearing maps to sustain your HP and keep you full HP and prevent you to die. So we have Fast Forward. Basically this support gem here just gonna reduce the time between the blessings, so will be less than 10.4. And we have Precision just to increase our accuracy rating, but will give you will reserve 10 spirit. Then the third buff you really want to get, you will be the Scavenging Plating. Alright, so with this one, when you fully break enemies' armor, will grant you Scavenging Plating. And when, depending according with the stacks you have, each stack will grant you armor and thorns per stack. Okay, so it will be 5% more armor and 36 to 53 thorns per Scavenging Plating. So this basically means that you will do some damage to enemies that hit you, and also you will get some more armor. Okay, so 5%, if you can get 10 stacks of this, will be 50% more armor and a lot of thorns as well. And finally, on this one, the support gems we have will be Physical Mastery. Since this is a physical ability, we have Persistence to increase the duration of this Scavenging Plating, and Vitality just to keep regenerating our life per second. And finally, the last buff you want to get will be Attrition, alright? This one will basically give you Culling Strike against rare and unique enemies that have been in your presence for a total of at least 32 seconds. And you deal 1% more hit damage to rare and unique enemies for every 2 seconds they've ever been in your presence, up to 56%. So this means the longer you stay near a boss, since you only need this while you're fighting a boss, but it's very useful against rares and everything. It's very useful to have Cooling Strike. So basically, the longer you stay near a boss or a rare will give you more damage, up to 56%, which is a great help to deal some more damage. So now that we talked about all the skill gems, now we are going to have a look at our passive skill tree. As you guys can see, I've not finished my Ascendancy yet, so I have the Imploding Impacts, which gives us break enemy armor to below 0, and this will help us to do more damage. And we have this one that will give us 40% base chance to block from equipped shield instead of the shield's value. I don't have any block chance on the shield I'm using, but I'll talk about the equipment in a second. And then I really want to get the Turtle Charm that will give this block damage from all hits while shield is not raised. It's gonna help a lot with damage and everything. I'll update the build as soon as I get there. So on this one, you really want to get this melee damage, you get some more Stirring build-up, then some more increased armor just to reduce the damage we take, also regenerating our life. Then we get some of these nodes with attributes, and then you really want to get these ones that will increase the damage with your 2-1 weapons. As you guys can see, I have Giant's Blood, so I'm using a 2-1 weapon on your as your main weapon and not one-end weapon. Then we go up here and we get some more attack area damage. So these skills, they are all area damage, and the Mace Strike we are using, it's going to do area damage as well. So the more area damage we have and more area of effect, the bigger will be that explosion. On this side, we have some more break of 60% increased armor. We have 10% chance to defend with 200% of armor. We have more increased armor and break 15% increased armor. It's gonna help a lot to increase our broken armor on our enemies. Then we have some more physical damage and increased cast and speed, attack and speed. We have a lot of attack damage from these nodes. We have more melee damage with it at closer range. Most of our attacks will be at close range, so this will be more 30% increased melee damage while we are close range. On these ones we have strength, because we have this one here that will give us 1% increased damage per 15 strength. As you guys can see, I have 446 strength at the moment. This one will reduce our attack speed, but will give us 50% more increased attack damage, which is a lot. We have this one that will aggravate the bleeding on targets and also empower attacks deal 30% increased damage. And then on this side, I got some dexterity here, because you need few dexterity to get attrition, that buff. And then on this side, we have more increased physical damage, we have break 40% increased armor, more physical damage. And now I'm building this way, because with the block chance will give you more damage. So 5% increased block chance, 5%, and this one will give us 1% increased damage per 1 chance to block. So the more chance you have to block, more damage you will be doing with these nodes here. And lastly, we have these ones that will increase the damage with two-hand weapons, which is what I'm using at the moment. Eventually, I want to try something below here, maybe increase my area damage with these nodes, or even increase my bleeding on it with these nodes here, but that's something I'll try and test after I get some more levels, because I'm still 79, I still have a lot of levels to go, and with that I will get some more passive points to spend on the passive tree. So talking about our equipment, I forgot to talk about the gems. These ones, you really want to get some armor, get one gem. You only want rubies, by the way. You really want to get one gem that gives you one rage on melee. It's very helpful. Every rage you get will be 1% more damage, so it's really helpful. Then inflict bleeding on it. It's gonna help as well, because if you are thinking about investing on bleeding, as I do, that will help a lot. Then, if you get some global physical damage, some melee damage, stun build up, some more rage when you are hit by the enemies, will help a lot. If you get some rubies with increased damage with maces, will be helpful as well. Reducing the cooldown of Warcry or magnitude of the bleeding, all of these stats are really good for this build. So now let's talk about our equipment. So this equipment requires a two-hand weapon, and we have these giant bloods that will triple the attribute requirement. So the trick here to be able to use the two-hand is to get one that has reduced attribute requirements. So with this, we'll reduce 30% of the attribute requirements. So this will be tripled. So I will need not 148, but I will need something like 448, something like that. Alright, I have 446, so it'll be a bit below 448, but as you guys can see, you need a lot of strength, and you also need to have these reduced attribute requirements, otherwise will be very difficult for you to get the ones that you can equip. Then you want some physical damage, some adds physical damage to attacks, or any other one will increase your damage as well, but ideally you want physical damage. Some strength or critical damage bonus is very useful as well. If you get one with melee plus melee level skills to melee skills, will be very helpful as well. It's gonna increase your damage a lot. I have that currently on my amulet, so I have spirit, I have increased maximum life, I have strength, and +2 to level of all melee skills. This will help you a lot, increasing your damage. Then we have head on the head, chest, hands, and boots. You really want to look for some increased armor, maximum life, strength, and resistances. That's basically what you need. On your body armor, we really want some spirit as well, and your amulet. That's the only way you can get the enough spirit to get this build done. And then on your rings, you really want to look for some more resistances, rarity if you are really on the end game, and some more strength. Some resistances, once again, are very helpful to keep you at least 90%. I have 81 on my chaos. I really want to get this up. And the only way I can have all of these chaos and these resistances. It's just because I'm using this shield. Alright, so this shield for every node, every socketed soul core, okay, will have in this case 416% increased effect. So since I have 5% on one of the soul cores, will be converted to 20% more, and since I have 7%, will have around 28% chaos resistance thanks to these shields. Alright, so you can start using this shield at level 48, and this is a very good one because it will increase your armor and energy shield by 400%. It can go up to 666, and also it's going to increase the effect of your soul cores, and with this will be much easier to top up all your resistances. I'm pretty good at the moment. If I want, I can just replace one of these iron runes and maybe get some more chaos resistance just to keep on the top of these resistances, at least 90. It's the ideal because sometimes you get 15% penalty, and this way at least you are sure you will have 75% all the time. Alright, so this is basically the build. This is all you need to know. The way to play this build is very easy. It's basically 2 skills to clear mobs, 4 skills for a boss, but it's very easy to play. I tested Warcry build, I tested the build with totems, and I don't really enjoyed it. Totems, the Warcry, fighting bosses while you're clearing maps is pretty good, but fighting bosses, it doesn't do that much damage. And the totem, it's really good, the cast speed, it's really good as well, but I don't really enjoy it, the totem build. And then I found this build with just single hits, using your main weapon. You can do tons of damage, especially if you get this cultist great hammer that will do this splash damage to targets. And if you increase that area damage with your passive nodes, that area damage will be even higher and will create massive explosions, clearing everything on your way. And that's what I was looking for on this character. Alright guys, hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any questions or any comments, you guys know what to do. Comment below, I'll be happy to answer to you guys as soon as possible, and I really enjoy all the feedback. And if you guys enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave that like, subscribe to my channel to follow more content about Path of Exile 2. Hope you enjoy it, and see ya next time.